one of the things that are preventing you from achieving your goals in Jiu-Jitsu. But first, welcome back to the Belt Talk Podcast. It's been probably a year since we've done a recording, and we are back. Whether it be solo or with friends, here I am. All right, so the one thing or one of the things that is holding you back in Jiu-Jitsu is your belt. Let me explain. So often we have a habit of comparing ourselves to people within the gym. You gotta stop doing that because this is your journey. The one thing that matters is, can you beat the person that you were 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago? And if that is true, you are on the right path. Stop trying to compare yourself to another person that is in the school or maybe a purple belt that you're chasing, right? So work on yourself, develop your skills to beat that person, sure, but the beating them doesn't really matter. Can you beat you? Now, it can be very heartfelt, it can be very painful to see somebody else get a belt and you do not on promotion day. Man, there are so many different things that go into that, so just rate yourself based on you. And if you feel like you're there, well then no problems, right? It will come. And to be honest, the belts really only matter for a couple of reasons. One of them is if you want to start your own gym and start teaching. The other one is competition. So if you are in competition, you need to be ranked accordingly to stay with people of your skill level. If you're held back, then you're sandbagging. And if you're promoted too quickly, well, then you're going to struggle in competition. So there's a fine line as far as that goes, but especially if you are just a hobbyist, and I don't mean that term negatively, I just mean somebody who is not competing or looking to become an instructor. If you are one of those two things, then the belts do matter, and get your skills up to get those. But if you're just training because you love Jiu-Jitsu, you don't really need a belt. Now, it's nice to have that pat on the back and your instructor go, bang, nice job, here you go, belt achieved. But that's not really the end goal. The end goal is Jiu-Jitsu, right? So we want to practice Jiu-Jitsu for as long as possible. So I'd rather have you guys tapping to even somebody that's a lower belt than you than get injured. The worst possible thing that you could do is let a submission go too long because you don't want to tap to the white or the blue belt or whoever it may be. And then boom, now you're out for 4 weeks. Now you're out for 6 weeks. What do you think that other person is going to be doing during that 4 to 6 weeks? They're going to be training. And guess what? Now you're really not going to be able to catch them. So the key to all of this is consistency and staying after a goal. Every few months I change up what system I'm working on, and I develop a part of my game that is lacking. It might be leg locks. It might be front headlock series. It might be controlling from bottom side control. It might be retaining your guard or half guard so that they can't get to side control. There are so many things and facets of Jiu-Jitsu that you can be working on. And don't try to spend a week on something. You need to spend at least a month, preferably up to about 3 months, to really start to understand that move, and then you can transition to the next piece that needs work. And then after about 1.5 to 2 years, you'll have giant chunks of moves or areas that you've worked on for months at a time, and it's all going to start sequencing together. And that's when your instructor is going to start giving you those promotions. It doesn't matter if you threw a Hail Mary and you caught the brown belt. It doesn't matter if you threw a Hail Mary and caught the purple belt. That's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for consistent Jiu-Jitsu, and it's based on yours. Here's another thing. We don't want to compare our belts to other schools. Now, usually it's a hybrid of these that the schools are actually looking for, but you can't compare a school that grades based on attendance and a school that grades based on just pure competitions, right? Those two things are going to be very different. Now, you're going to have some sort of swing in between of where your school lies. In some schools, if you can beat the blue belts consistently, you will be a blue belt. In other schools, that doesn't matter at all. In some schools, if you go win gold medals at the competition, your belt is coming. Other schools, that doesn't matter at all. Some schools base your growth in your next belt based on your own ability and your own growth. And I think most schools actually fall into that line with a metric standard that you need to maintain, right? So if you're doing really well in your growth, but you're still not able to hang with the blue belts in competition or the purple belts in competition, and that's something that you're after, your coach might hold you back just a little bit longer so that you get that competition experience before they put you into that next level. So there's so many things that go into the grading system and the belt system that you're not in control of. The only thing that you can control is your own personal growth. And let's say that your instructor does grade based on beating the other blue belts. Well, if you're hyper focused on beating those other blue belts, you're probably not going to beat the other blue belts because you're not going to be learning. So we need to take a step back and we need to look at our own individual growth and really challenge ourselves. Have a goal going into each class. Try to achieve that class. When you go into a competition, don't just go for the win. I want you guys to work on a specific set of moves that you want to work. And you're going to get that live resistance and you're going to get that feedback that's going to set you up on your own growth for the next 2 or 3 months after that competition. Because you're going to be like, this worked, this did not work. And that's going to make your growth. So focus on you. Focus on your self-development. Can you beat the person you were 3 months, 6 months ago? If the answer is no, you're probably hyper-focused on other people and you need to bring it back in and work on your own skills and your own development. So, I'll see you guys on the mat. Welcome back to the Belts Off Podcast.